Welcome to Following Films, the show where we go behind the scenes with the people who make the movies we love. I'm your host, Chris Maynard, and today I'm joined by a filmmaker whose new film is both a gritty Boston drama and a deeply personal debut. Eric Aronson is a Boston-based writer and director with over 22 years of experience as a Hollywood screenwriter. He's written for major studios like Warner Brothers, Disney, and Lionsgate, and collaborated with creative forces like Sacha Baron Cohen. Now with his directorial debut, Any Day Now, Aronson brings a raw, heartfelt story to the screen, and back home to Boston. The film stars Boston native Paul Guilfoyle, best known for CSI, LA Confidential, and Spotlight. He plays Marty Lyons, a streetwise hustler who pulls a drifting young night watchman, played by Taylor Gray, into a murky world of misfits, regret, and second chances. Featuring an outstanding cast including Alexandra Templar, Thomas Key, and Armando Rivera, Any Day Now is a love letter to the city and a story about finding meaning when everything feels lost. The film will be available on digital platforms on May 20th. I hope you enjoy the show. Thanks. Hey Eric, how are you today?
I'm great, Chris. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for doing this. I like your DVD wall.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm one of the few people that still actually buys physical media. You know, I like books, I like records, I like DVDs and Blu-rays. Just not going away. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm all about the DVDs. My dream, right, is everyone's dream. It's crazy, is to have the full Criterion collection.
It will. It just, they keep adding too many every year for me to get there. But yes, of course, that would be incredible. I don't think my wife would let me live here anymore, though, if I actually got to that many.
Yeah, there was a moment like 15, 20 years ago. It's the same moment that I said to my wife, you know what, why don't we buy an apartment in Dumbo? And she was like, why? This place sucks. And then now every time we go to New York, I say, I told you we should have gotten a place in Dumbo. Same thing. There was that same moment with Criterion. Like there was a moment where I said, oh, why don't I just get them all? There's only like 500. Why don't I get them? And then I would have kept up, and I just didn't.
It would have been doable, because then you're like, okay, I'm doing 2 or 3 a month. This is absolutely it. But then now it's just too far out. But
yeah, I missed it.
So I first thing about the film, I got to ask, this intersection of truth and fiction. This is inspired by a true story, but not a true story. So how did you decide on that, sort of how much to include and how much to not include from the true story?
I have an excellent lawyer. No, seriously, she's amazing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
She's amazing. No, I never wanted to tell the real story. No, she really is. But I never wanted to tell a truthful story. That's boring to me. That's for documentary, and I don't like biopics. They just bore me to tears. I just wanted to use events from the world and draw something that was a little more in the style of what I'm interested in. And I told a lot of stories from my own life in this movie. It's just like a package. I just was looking for an interesting package, and I filled it with completely different things.
Absolutely. And it feels like a really personal story, although I'm not sure this is your personal experience. Just having met you a minute ago, I would assume it's not, though.
I've never robbed anything. I have, actually, but I've never, not on this scale. I did fool 25 million people last month.
How explain? How did you?
So I made a film at the very moment that the film industry collapsed, which is exciting. And now we have to be creative about how we get our material into the world, which I think is a good thing, because entertainment advertising sucks.
Yeah,
all of it. It sucks. It's just the trailer and behind the scenes stuff. That's all they got. It's like selling a Snickers bar, and you walk around and you just give everybody a taste of the Snickers bar. But so instead, we developed. I met some people from the advertising world, and I kind of made a partnership with them, and we've created this multi-phase plan on an independent film budget. And the way we got it is because in Massachusetts, there is a tax credit for shooting a film entirely here, which we did, and it's about 18% of your budget. So I took that 18% and reinvested it in marketing of the film. So indie filmmakers rarely have money left over, let alone 18% to use towards marketing. So our first phase, the thing we did last month, is Any Day Now is about the robbery at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum and from 1990, and it's never been solved, and nobody knows who did it, which is why you can make up any story you want about it, which is why it's perfect.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows. And since it's about this robbery, they stole 13 pieces of art from the Gardner Museum and that have never been seen since. So last month, we opened a gallery in New York City Arts District in Chelsea with all 13 pieces. And they are immaculate. They look beautiful. And we opened the doors, and we did this in conjunction with a company called Improv Everywhere. And so we had some actors and as the guards and the gallery director and people waiting outside in line to try to get inside. And so if you walked into this gallery in Chelsea and you went up to a guard or someone working at the gallery, you say, wait, are these real? And the answer was, that's what they told me. So we just put it out there and let people react to it. In the 70s, they did stuff like this, like they were like happenings.
Yeah.
It was really about the interaction of the people that came in. Some were incredibly skeptical. Some people had never heard of the Gardner Museum. Some people really thought it was the real thing. In fact, people had posted on the Gardner Museum website about they have all the paintings. And they said, wasn't this found last week? Which is great because it made the Gardner Museum respond. But we're at like 25 million people have seen. We did an FBI raid, and they grabbed a Rembrandt and went out, and there were people there with their phones, and they photographed. And if you look online at TikTok or Instagram, there we've got like millions of people who think that that the pieces have miraculously appeared.
Now, how do you take that connective tissue, though, and let people, is this just awareness of the robbery that'll lead people to the film, or are you letting them know this is tied into the film?
We are now letting them know.
Now you're letting them know. Okay.
We're going to let it out and say, remember that thing that happened? That was it's tied to this movie. And I kind of want to do this gallery again in other cities. That's what I want to do. I want to do a traveling show with the gallery, and I want to put it in a theater nearby. I want to show them in the theater.
How great would that be to have those forgeries in the lobby of the theater when you go see it, and have that, and just you could have a cocktail and talk about that afterwards. That just would be an incredible experience. Yeah,
I mean, there's so many different ways to get movies out, and you have to be nimble when you don't have a huge budget and you can't just throw money at it. And I'm just having fun trying to sell it. But yeah, somebody picked up our story in Mexico City of the gallery, and he runs a gallery, and he says, we want you to bring the movie in the gallery. So I'm talking about maybe opening it theatrically in a theater in Mexico City on a limited basis in a few months. So that we're just going to keep slicing it. But the first step is we're going to release it on May 20th online, Amazon and Apple and all these things. But again, it's like traditionally you do online second and you do theatrical first. But I just think it's all just drumming up interest. I love seeing movies in theaters. Not everybody does anymore.
Sure.
With that, if you want to go see it in a theater, great. It'll be in a theater for a while. If you want to see it online, okay, we'll put it online for a while. And then we're going to pull it offline and put it in a theater. So I think that the market will allow movies to have a longer road. It's no longer about opening weekend. It's about building an audience. And that's my job now, is to try to build an audience for this movie, to connect it with the people who would like it.
Especially for independent film, for these smaller films like this, that these are people that support films like this that they go to rep houses anyway, and they see things that they own, that they have on their Blu-ray shelf, because they appreciate the idea of going to a theater. So I think that, yeah, you could absolutely, I could imagine seeing something on VOD, seeing a screener, and then saying, you know what, I really enjoyed this. When this comes to, the local theater here in Tucson, I'm going to take my wife and tell a couple friends and maybe go down and see this thing, because I think that's the better way to experience a film.
Absolutely. Actually, Tucson's on our list too.
Are you playing the Loft?
I don't know where we're playing, but we're talking with the theater owner who owns theaters. It's called the Galaxy Theater. We're talking with him also about opening in a few theaters. So,
Oh, that's great.
but I would love to bring I want to bring the exhibit with me too. Like make it an event, like make it something interesting. Like, you get something out of being, some people want to go anyway in person, but oh, there's a gallery show of the stolen pieces in town. And, I like cities that have college campuses because
Yep.
college kids need to respond, and that have like a healthy arts district. I think that's a really nice combination. So Austin is a good place. Tucson's a good. There's a couple of really interesting locations for us, and I just want to build this movie slowly and almost like one person or one small group of people at a time.
Can we talk a little bit about for your adaptation, for your version, the thing that you decided to paint on this story? You could have gone a direction and made this the world's greatest thieves and made this something along the lines of, kind of like a classic caper. But I feel like you did something that's far more grounded. And this is a big moment for the people that are doing this. This is the biggest job that they're taking on. So what was your idea with kind of grounding this as opposed to going for something like Thomas Crown Affair?
Yeah, and I'm sure there's an Ocean's 11 Thomas Crown
Yeah.
version of the Gardner heist. I am deeply uninterested in that. I'm just as uninterested in that as I am of the boring nonfiction documentary story about it. To me, it's just an excuse to tell a fun story, and that's what I like. I love noir books. I eat them for breakfast every day. I'm really into the noir. I really like the American noir films, and then I like what the French did to the noir, which was twist it upside down. My theory is that there was a French translator of American films in the 1950s who was not very good at his job and he mistranslated everything. So you'd have these like noir films and someone would come in with a gun and it was dark and he would point the gun and he would say, "I'm so lonely." I think the French were like, "That's the coolest thing I've ever seen. We're going to make," and then that's what I think actually birthed the French New Wave. And so that was sort of like the inspiration.
That's amazing.
What if you take a heist genre that everybody knows and that plenty of other people can make, and how far in the background can you make that? But can you instead put in the foreground the stuff that's interesting and the stuff that I like, which is characters, dialogue, watching actors who are really good work with each other. Like, that's what I want to see anyway. So how little can we service the robbery, still get away with it, and still have people kind of follow it, but make it about other stuff. That's for me, that's what indie film is supposed to do. And Hollywood film is supposed to make, all of those other heist movies where you see all the pieces of the heist. Also, I couldn't afford to shoot the heist. It's much cheaper to put the event off screen, and then on screen, you can do what you can afford, which is people interacting.
But it's one of those things if you paint around the event and you get so detailed around the outside of it that you create that image yourself, that you don't need to actually see it, that I think that we do that work for you. And anything that you would create on an independent budget wouldn't live up to the thing we have in our minds. So you're better off just leaving it out of there. It's not unlike in a genre film when you have gore. The more that you leave off screen, the more that our imagination will create something far more gnarly than you ever would have put there. More than likely.
That's exactly what we're thinking all the time. It's the broken shark in Jaws.
Yeah, there you go.
Had to do it. It's Reservoir Dogs, where all you saw was a diner and a warehouse.
That's exactly what I was thinking of with this film, Reservoir Dogs, in a lot of ways, because the type of criminals that you have here, the actual heist itself being very much on the outside, and you get to the point where it went bad, and that's it, and you get to that runaway scene. And that's kind of what you're doing here, because really Reservoir Dogs is much more about the telling of that joke on the roof than it is about any of the heist stuff. And I think your film is similarly here when you hear about Stephen breaking his heart. That's what this film is really about more than anything.
That's right. That's exactly what I wanted to focus on too, and not get lost in the other stuff. Yeah, that's the idea.
And so casting, and when you take that on, is so important if you're going to have something that's so character, because you don't have those elements to lean into. Can you talk a little bit about the casting process on this one?
Yeah, that's everything. I once had the opportunity to have a word with Steven Spielberg, and the one thing I wanted to ask him is what I did. I said, "How do you direct actors?" he was on the set of a film that I had written. And I said, so how do you direct actors? And he said, I cast well.
Yeah.
So that's like, you're 80% there. You're 85% there when you cast well. And I wrote the film for Paul Guilfoyle. I really wanted to get somebody who we knew was really, really good, but that people don't give a big runway to. He gets these great roles in huge films, but he's so good. They know that he can just show up on set and do something really interesting. He's one of these incredible actors that he's just always going to be doing well, and other actors always want to work with him. So it's an easy hire, but I wanted to give him a nice long runway to get his elbows out and really have some fun, and that's why this was written around him, for him. And when I first met him, it was in the middle of COVID, and he was like, yeah, we can't make this movie right now because the way you make movies is you sit around a kitchen table with people, and the distancing and the masking is like not going to work. So we postponed it because he told us to, and then when it was over, that's when we shot it. So that's the Paul story. And then Taylor I found because I wanted to find somebody who was almost cool.
Yeah.
Taylor naturally actually is really, really cool, but I saw him in a movie where he played somebody who wasn't cool, who was on just the other side, but not all the way uncool, because that's unrealistic.
Sure.
He would never get, it needed to be someone who could get the girl if he just was doing things just a little bit different. And that was the range of change in this movie. That relationship is, Paul's challenge was, can I use this kid, which is my plan all along, but also at the same time, can I make his life better?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fun challenge for an actor. Paul is so good as, I can't think of many actors who can do two things simultaneously. That's like the upper tier of actors. And Paul can do that. It's not anybody, but many people can make you feel, somebody can come across as intimidating in one moment and then kind and soft in the other moment. You see actors alternate. They can do that, but not a lot of people can do them simultaneously. Like, you really aren't sure if he's intimidating you or helping you, and he's convincing. And that is like magic.
Well, it's that level of intimidation, but there's this undercurrent of I'm trying to help you while I'm doing that. And when you go back, this is something that really does lend itself to rewatchability, because I think those nuances in performance are something that will definitely come back or come out to the forefront once you have an idea of really where this is headed and where everyone's heads are at in this film. So, and giving Paul the chance to, you take essentially a character actor, and I mean that as a compliment. I love character actors, and putting them center stage. It's just, I love it it's why Paris, Texas is one of my favorite films. It's when you take the people that are on the sidelines and you say, okay, we're going to focus on them, and we're going to take the traditional leading men and put them off to the sides, and we're going to focus here. And it's always such a smart thing to do, and I think it just always works out really well. Or at least some of my favorite films are that.
Yeah, it's also accessibility. I don't have access. I'm not going to get those. I'm not going to get those people anyway. So why not get someone who's really, really good, like Harry Dean Stanton, and put him in the middle, and then you can have fun and play all day long and do exactly what you want. Like, that's what you should be doing when you leave it. Well, I've been saying that when you leave a Hollywood set and you're a director, you look at this script. You say, "Did we get it? Did we get what was written in the script? What we were setting out to do, and what was, that dictates? Did the camera capture what we wanted?" When you go home from an independent film set, and you're often driving yourself, you should ask yourself, as a director, was it good? So every day we showed up, and me and the DP Miguel, we were like, okay, we have a plan of what we want to do today. How can we do it different? Like, all right, what's today? Today's Wong Kar-wai day. Okay, let's throw in a bunch of Wong Kar-wai references. It's like, okay, let's do a Truffaut thing today. Oh, okay, we're going to do the French thing. Miguel's like, you want to do the French thing? I was like, yeah, let's do the French thing. So, it's that spirit of play that the actors bring and the filmmakers bring together. That's what independent filmmaking should be like.
So when you think of Wong Kar-wai, are you thinking of like the longing between two characters? That when I think of those films, it's really the sort of this desire to move past a moment that they're currently in, and they're unable to speak what that thing is to each other. It's that longing is what I think of when I think of his films.
Absolutely, and it's a very cultural thing. The culture he comes from that felt it's so good, and then to watch them as an American and to watch that whole world, I think the specificity of his worlds, I mean, he's a different style completely, but like the specificity of his world and then a foreign world, it's just so entrancing to me. And that's why we also wanted to make a really specific Boston film. And actually I went, because I was so inspired. It's Shoot the Piano Player is really my inspiration for this movie, this Truffaut film. Because he took a genre, which is it wasn't a heist film. His was more of like a gangster genre. And he made it like about a love story instead, and a sad piano player in the middle of it. So that was the theme. So I went to find a French, editor, and I found my favorite editor in the world. And I just said, and that's, I don't know how I got her. I'm the first American film she's ever edited. And she works with Olivier Assayas and Mia Hansen-Love. She's just incredible. She's incredible. Her name is Marion Monnier. And I was like, we shot a film in Boston that's about Boston, but it's really a French film. And she was like, okay, I'm in, I'll do it.
Well, it's fantastic. You wouldn't think of that, but culturally there is something there with that connects, I think, a little bit better than you would expect, because I think there's an idea of what a French film is and what that should mean, and what a film about Boston is and what it should mean. But I think there's connective tissue there that we really don't explore, because there's that idea of what you're saying, that with Paul's performance, the multi-layered thing that's going on with, there is the Boston attitude that is covering up this love story, essentially. And it's this inability to speak to one another, and to that thing that's going on underneath the surface, that I think that it makes sense that you would see this as a French film and not this isn't The Town.
No, it's the opposite of The Town. Let other people make that. That's not interesting. Like, again, that's still
it's its own thing. It's fine, but it's not this.
I look at it like it's like kabuki theater. It's very stylized. Know where it's going. It can be done really well, but you know what you're getting, and that is a different kind of satisfaction. In some in films that I love, you sometimes don't know what you're getting, and you're always off. You're not quite comfortable. I've worked with Sacha Baron Cohen a bit, and when Sacha had told me, gosh, I'm dropping names like crazy. Sacha said, what Sacha thinks is funny, but I'm dropping really good names.
It's a good name to drop. These are good names so far. So yeah.
So Sacha said, hey, what I think is funny is making people uncomfortable. You might not think that's funny, but that's what I always think about him in terms of comedy, like making people uncomfortable and then breaking that and throwing them off. Like, I didn't do any establishing shots. There are no establishing shots. I just throw people into it. I'll put the establishing shot in the middle, if I even do. So yeah, I was just always trying to keep people off their feet. And yes, back to Wong Kar-wai, he also stole from the French, and I stole from him. And I was also thinking, there's a scene in my movie where I had two characters cross each other in profile that blew me away from Chungking Express. And I was like, oh, Miguel, let's do that. Let's do that today. And it's like, it's so bizarre, and I just love it.
And it just works, though. And like the way you don't establish the prison and things like that, it's absolutely a part of it that kind of makes you feel like, is there going to be a documentary element to this? And so, yeah, you're constantly, it's not subverting expectations, because it's very clear early on that this is not a typical gangster movie. I think you get that pretty much from the jump here. And I think that if that's what you're going into this thinking you're going to get, you'll probably be a little bit disappointed, but you'll be satisfied by what you end up getting, I think, because sometimes there's the thing that I thought I wanted is not what I actually needed. It's the problem I have with algorithm entertainment, with being fed everything, instead of going into a video store and having that cool clerk hand you something and say, hey, this one's for you. It's not something that you would ever grab. I've never seen you rent a romantic comedy before, but this one is going to knock your hair back. You're going to love this. And that's what I think we need sometimes, is the hook of it to get us in. But then it's, no, that's not what you actually need. Here's the nourishment you're actually looking for.
Yeah, that's right. And in that instance, you have a curator. You have somebody who's going through it all saying, yeah, this is good. And it's just hard to find. We're in a time and a space now where our information is not really well curated. It's just sort of getting thrown at us. There isn't somebody at a bookstore saying there's no staff pick section at a bookstore?
At my bookstore, there is. So
Yeah, all right. All right. Well, I'll come in and I want to get your recommendations then.
Well, no. I go to a bookstore that has that.
Oh,
So
your library.
no, not the one that I have. Yes, that's working in a video store was the greatest job I ever had. I miss that. If I could go back to doing that and support my family and exist in a job that doesn't exist anymore, I would do that 100%. But I can't. But the bookstore I go to, a little local independent place here, it absolutely has that recommended by, and you start to pick up people's taste and say, well, I normally wouldn't go for that, but it's right next to a copy of Reanimator. So what is this thing that I've never heard of? I'm going to give this one a shot. There might be something else here. So yeah, I love that. And with your film though, what's the best way for people to find out more information about Any Day Now? Where should we send people?
Well, the movie's we're gonna put it out online. So we're going to do, like I said, we're doing like a multi-phase thing. We're going to put it out on digital, or I don't know what you call it, on Amazon and Apple and Fandango at Home on May 20th. So that comes out on May 20th. And we're pushing advertising towards that. But then we're going to switch the system upside down. We're also then going to go to theaters after that. So normally the traditional role has been theater and that, and we're going to go, we might try this traveling roadshow with the art exhibit in Mexico City, and then we might try the American Southwest, and then we're going to try Europe. We're just going to keep, and then we'll put it online and then take it off. We're going to keep playing with the levers of it. But for now, the next step is May 20th. And we have, we have Instagram and we have TikTok and we have all of those places where people can go and find this movie. I'm not well versed in any of that, but I have people that are. So.
I'm terrible at that stuff. It's the one part of this job that I loathe. I don't love that's a part of what I do now, but it's a necessary evil. It's how you communicate with people and let them know about things. So
yeah, and I could say we have a website, which we do, and maybe it's worth saying.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's called anydaynowfilm.com. Okay, and but people apparently don't go to websites anymore. They get it from like Instagram instead. So I think there's an Instagram handle too. But if you can't find us, then you're probably out of our demographic.
That's perfect, man. Well, congratulations on the film. I think you got something really special here, and I love your approach to getting this out to people. I think this is a lot of fun. So, and I'm hoping that you do come to the American Southwest, come to Tucson. I will be there if you're going to come here. So,
all right, great. I'm locking you in then.
No, done. I'm there.
I'm going to find you if we do.
Yeah, please do. No. Get my email address and reach out. So I would love to spread the word on this. And if you come here, you got a couple tickets sold already.
That's great. So. I want to see it. We'll do like a Q&A thing. That's what we should do.
I would love to. Right. One of my favorite things to do. Absolutely.
Right. Let me find a theater who's silly enough to let us in the doors.
Check out the Loft. They're pretty good. So they tend to do things like that. So
great. Awesome.
And they have an area out front that would actually work out really well to do. You could do your exhibit there also. And they enjoy stuff like that. So
okay. Great. Thanks for the tip. Awesome.
Of course. Cool. Well, thank you, Eric. It was really great to meet you, man. And good luck on this one. This is good. This is a fun one. I'm excited to see what this becomes.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Get some phone ring lit up on a nice night. I gotta say you got a cheese grater, boys. Acting like I meant to hurt, screaming like I meant to hurt. But bitch, I don't work for you anymore. Bitch, I don't work for you anymore. And it's hot inside of the sun. I could put you there, and it's hot inside of the sun. I would put you there. Just might explode. Acting like I meant to hurt, screaming like I meant to hurt. of the sun, I would put you there. And it's hot inside of the sun, I would put you there.